listening to the Questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the Questionnaires.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The Questionnaire.
Get your Comic on.
Poke it up, poke it up, poke it up, poke it up.
Sweet.
This is Station XSTV, broadcasting to the gas. Look, I don't know what station that is, right? But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Questionnaire. I am the unknown factor, aka that Wade Wilson of hip hop. And you're gonna get on the Wade part, but we're gonna stay off the hip hop part, right? Right? Because this is the Quest, man. You know, we get into nerdy things. What you gonna do? Ain't you heard that new Eminem album, right? I'm just a nerd that read comics to learn more words. I'm nerd to the core until I'm cornered, right? Yeah, right? But I ain't cornered no more, man. There's a whole team coming over here, and I'm loving it. And one man that has been an integral part of that and co-hosted, man, I don't even know how many shows he's co-hosted and booked at this point. I stopped keeping track, right? I don't even know how many times our guest tonight has been on, to be frank with you. But, right, we're not talking about him right now. Right now, we're going to say Vladimir Popov. He's back in the house, man. How you doing?
Hey, not bad. You know, just a regular show again. Doing the, quest with you and everybody else. You know, being part of the gang, which is cool.
Over there in Serbia, it's about 3 a.m. We keep Vlad up here late, right?
Yeah.
For some antics.
Yep,
right?
night shift, man, night shift. And then they say comics are easy.
You are definitely the night shifter over here. You're more of a night shifter than I am when it comes to the Questionnaire, which is, I stay up late doing stuff, and that's why I'm bad. Like, I'll make posts on social media at midnight. They don't get no traction, but that's when I'm able to do it. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yeah.
You know, right? But on the note of making a lot of traction, and, with sporks and plastic, vinyl, and furry suit, and he's no Pete, man. He's still, for that matter, I really think has my favorite intro of all time for the Questionnaire. Because, for real, Doug, did you ever find a therapist?
Oh, I don't need one. That's why I write comics.
Doug Wagner, yeah, writing some dopeness. I still, dude, that really is my favorite. I love that intro. I need to, like, with what Shiro does, I need to clip that to where it's all nice and funny. Because it's freaking hilarious. But how have you been, Doug? We've been chatting a little bit before the show. You just got back from San Diego Comic-Con, which, that was a experience this year, especially, just from what I've seen in the conversation myself and Vlad have been having with you beforehand. But it makes me curious, and for everybody that wants to, you can go check out Doug's second pre-show questionnaire over on the Patreon for free. All you got to do is be a member. But the last question I ask on the questionnaire is always, what do you want to cover most? Because I want to make sure we cover whatever the guest wants to. You had something that I'd never seen before, which is how to help support your favorite creators, which I don't think we've ever, which is funny because I don't know how many shows we've done. I don't think we've ever had a conversation in regards to that as far as the best way for fans to support their creators, because there are obviously far more ways than just buying the work for people to do that, especially in the age of social media. So I'm curious, what do you think, Doug, is the best way without money for people to support their favorite creators?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think this is a big one all the time. I think it's important that if you're loving somebody's work, well, regardless of where that is in the spectrum of any kind of creative arts, is always, every chance you get, like their posts and share their posts. And obviously, you can, for writers, you can go on Amazon and give them, reviews and those kind of things. All that stuff, although it seems tiny and at least from my experience, only takes a couple of minutes, are huge helps to every creative. Because, the more you spread the word, and that's the key, right? I mean, it's all about grassroots, spreading the word. It's not just going to your local comic shop and saying, hey, I love Vlad's stuff. It's like, no, you got to tell people outside your inner circle. And I think that's very important that, like, people take the time to make sure they're staying, keeping up with their favorite creators, sharing their stuff constantly, because it just helps us. Like, comics isn't an easy field to make money in. And so, if anybody that can help spread that word, it's so important. And dude, I know Vlad can probably speak to this too. Like, every time somebody helps me out that way, like it's special. Like it makes your day.
It is.
People are
It
supporting.
is.
Yeah.
And it's also nice feedback, on your work as well. When you get from people outside of official reviews and critiques and everything. Socials can do that really nice most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
I suck at social media. I've said this several times on the show because I do. I do the show and then nobody finds out I did the show because I don't post anything because I don't scroll. But I don't remember who it was on a past quest though. I was like I'm just not on social media, and they were like, well, I think you have a healthy relationship with social media, and I'm like, that's probably true. If it wasn't for the fact that I needed to use it to promote the content that I create.
Yeah.
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 But you.
But there are nice ways to actually do that, especially depending on which social media. These days, I think Facebook and TikTok are the best, and third close comes LinkedIn, and Instagram and Twitter. They're not that good really much. Instagram just kills your algorithm and everything, and like slave works you till you die in order to like boost you, and Twitter is just too fast and too hectic. And majority of people who like comics kind of like migrated to either Mastodon or Blue Sky or whatever else is there.
This is another reason I suck at social media. There's too many social medias. Are you?
But TikTok, man, TikTok, like.
I know. With the graphics Shiro got me. I've been trying to post more and get more, and I'm working on it, Vlad. I promise. There, hopefully,
I know. But outside of Quest, actually, the support there, from there and Facebook is actually the greatest. That's what I saw from my own work and content and everything that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and TikTok is especially relevant in US because there is like 170 million of Americans who have TikTok, which means basically the whole America.
Let's not get into TikTok. But you should all go check out the questionnaire. And Doug, you ain't on TikTok, are you?
No, I haven't. I've never embraced TikTok.
See,
mostly because I'm not a person that likes to see myself on camera. So, it's.
Well, we appreciate
there are ways you can post images and text and stuff and music and kind of like make some nice multimedia collage videos without you. I don't have much of it there. I post artwork, so and Algo kind of like pushes you. So
in all
your friend there.
Yeah, in all sincerity, with the pages that you have just between vinyl, plastic, and plush. I don't know, as long as you didn't put a page that got you banned off TikTok because it was too gruesome, because let's be real honest. But I want to cut back to something you said a minute ago, which you said that
that's why you have, GIFs and everything to put inside. I don't know. Make a collage.
But you said comics aren't really a money-making business, and I understand the entirety of the industry, especially dealing with everybody. I'm curious, what you think, though, that someone that has no idea the comic book industry and just sees the films, do you think they'd be surprised to hear something like that?
I think so. I think they think probably, the people that wrote some of the Marvel and DC stuff probably are multimillionaires at this point. And you find out, oh, wait a minute, they got $80 a page to create that, and they don't own any rights to it. And they also had to write 6 other books while they were doing that just to pay their rent. I think that's, they're like, oh, wait a minute. And they, they're not really getting, it's very rare for them to get any, residuals from something like a Marvel or DC movie if it's, highly successful. So, yeah, I mean, you see Disney and Marvel making billions, honestly, off of their work. And creators are still like, hey, I have a part-time job, so I have regular money coming in.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you'll get a royalty check.
Yeah.
From Marvel? For a movie? Has that ever happened?
No. For comics.
Okay.
I don't know how movies go. if somebody gets something for a movie, but
I'm pretty positive, and now I may be wrong, but when it comes to the big two, that's their stuff, and they'll play with
no,
it
no,
how they
you
want.
get royalties from comics there. I know that.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah. I just mean exclusively the movies and the content they make there. I mean, if you're dealing with something like like a producer like Image that you deal with so much, Doug, then yeah, that's an entirely different game. I still want to see everything you're doing like turned into at least give me some good anime of it. Like I couldn't even like your stuff done in like an Afro samurai style.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I'd love that myself.
If it didn't
Yeah,
do well to the general public, I would be kind of amazed because I mean, we as Americans typically love graphic violence. It's when
Oh,
you
yeah.
pull a boob out, everyone gets upset.
Yeah, yeah. You show any nudity, especially the female nudity, then yeah, you're out.
Yep. God and guns.
Yeah.
Well, if you want, the more liberal stuff, you go to Europe and France and
Exactly.
Wait. Hey, so you said God and guns. America loves the 2 G's and they love double D's, but you better keep it behind cloth.
Oh, I know. Oh, that was my first culture shock 8 years ago when I went the first time to Florida to visit my sister, and she was like, no topless, no nothing, or you're gonna go to jail. I'm like, there is a dude walking with the Colt down the streets on a beach, and he's okay, and like, if I go like shirt off, I'm gonna go to jail. Like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's the law. It's like.
So
It
Doug,
is what it is.
So Doug,
that was my first encounter.
like Doug, you're not pressing the line. All you're doing is violence. When are you going to show some nudity and really, really press things out, huh?
It happens every now and then, but I save it for like when it matters to the story. Because again, we're in America, so it's got to have an impact. To if you're gonna use it, you better use it wisely.
Yeah, it's just a different interest zone,
Yeah, you can't.
There are places
you can't show Batman's dick without a reason. So when you do that, everybody freaks out.
Sure, you never can show that.
They've done it once. But they've paid for it ever since.
Yeah, but you can always make a weird horror with tentacles and manga stuff. So and that's okay. That's legit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you want to see something terrible that Shiro draw that's kind of to that effect, you can check out the before and after Quest. And I never needed to see that image in my life.
Oh my god! Do we have to?
You guys, I'm just saying it's there. If y'all want to go check out the Patreon, I'm not even suggesting that you do it.
Okay.
Not that particular one, but let's get into something else.
Yeah, freedom of art. It's.
Oh yeah,
it's
look. There's plenty before and after the Quest I would recommend you check out. That's just that, but just stop before you get to the end of Shiro's because nobody needs to see that. But I put it there in case somebody wanted to. It's terrible. But back to what you're working on, Doug McCann, because I was very surprised. Sorry about the ding. That was Erica Schultz Quest getting done exporting so I can get it out to y'all because it was wonderful. But I'm very curious, man, because I didn't expect to really see a prequel when I looked at what I've read from you. You know what I mean? That's not something I expected out of the vinyl universe that you created. Yeah. I would surprise, and more than anything, if I was gonna see a prequel, I don't know, and maybe it's just because, and I know we've had this conversation, vinyl tickles my fancy a little more. Probably because I'm a musician, so it gets me a little more. But I saw more prequel potential in that, in my opinion, than I did plastic. What made you decide to go and tell the story of a young Edwin?
I mean, honestly, you know how the muses work, dude. Like they speak to you and they tell you the story they kind of want you to tell. And we were kind of really satisfied with the way we've kind of ended the original Plastic. And so this one was like, hey, let's dive a little bit deeper into Edwin as a character and almost kind of go back and tell a little bit origin-esque of his, beginnings. And I was fascinated by the 10-year-old Edwin because, I'll disclose a little bit more than people want to know, but that story is based on my childhood. And so I got to dive into a lot of what actually the weird Doug grew up doing. So
Pause. No, because I have very, very specific questions now.
That was a nice therapy.
Real specific questions, Doug. Your mother had a doll collection like that?
No, my mother did not have a doll collection.
Okay.
But I was raised by my mother. So
the question is, who did?
Yeah. Who did? That's for real. Who had the doll collection, Doug?
I actually had a friend who had their mother dedicated an entire bedroom to a doll collection. It was all encased in glass, and it was the creepiest. Every time I went in that room, it was the creepiest. Like, I did not like going in there. Like, it was just scary to me.
Damn. Well, when you think about it, it's like the bed full of pillows.
Yeah.
Were any of these because you have very specific dolls within the Plastic prequel that you put out, man. It's very, very. Were any of these directly inspired from that room?
Not directly inspired, more like a vibe, if that makes sense. Like you walk in and it's just like this really weird vibe of like all these different dolls, and of course they're all looking at you. And you got to remember, like, this is before people collected like they do now, and it was more accepted. Now you could have a room dedicated to action figures and nobody would even blink, right? But back then, having something like this was really like, that was odd. Like, nobody did stuff like that. What you saw.
Can you give me what year? So what, like?
Oh, we're talking
what decade?
We're talking like late 70s, early 80s.
Before our time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the early 80s child, and I think.
Yeah, 83. So that is definitely in that time frame. That's the creepy lady in the neighborhood. Like, what is up?
Yeah.
Are you sure? So wait.
What kind of car she drove? Like a Stranger Things Ford or something like that.
I mean, there were those around. So
Her son wasn't named Edwin.
Timeline.
What's that?
I said her son wasn't named Edwin, was he?
Oh, no.
Like, this isn't a true life story.
But his name started with an E, maybe.
Doug's actually, this is actually a biography of someone's life that Doug knew, and he's not telling, because if he tells, then that dude's gonna pop out of nowhere and nobody's gonna hear from Doug ever again.
It could happen.
But if you think about like half of fiction stories that are being published are someone's biographies. Where else can you pull out this story and form it out than from your own life and experiences?
Mm-hmm.
And then you make a collage and invent something out of it.
Oh, yep. Then I have to. We've discussed AI art over here specifically several times.
Okay.
But we've never discussed just AI as a general tool of creating entertainment. Which it's become. You can enter into AI to make a rock song about cats in the style of like Limp Bizkit, and it will do it, which is brain numbing to a certain degree.
Sano, something like that.
Yeah, like I said though, it's something we've discussed, but I want to discuss more as AI is just in general entertainment. I think I've seen a post a while ago because it's from some artist against AI, entertainment period, and it was people saying, why should we pay someone when I can get it from an AI and it's cheaper? And the response was, because when I'm consuming art, I do it to understand another human's perspective, not to see some rhetoric that's spit out from something that's been analyzed. You want the specific. You want to be able to understand how a different person felt within that. What effect do you think the overall AI entertainment industry, because as much as it abhors me to admit it, I really think there's going to be one. I am kind of made ill by the fact that I said that out loud a little bit, to be real honest, but I'm a realist, so that's just the truth of it, unfortunately. What effect do you think that'll have on overall entertainment? Or do you think it's something that perhaps, maybe I'm totally wrong, Doug? Maybe people will start looking at it and be like, this is crap. This comes from no one's opinion but a bunch of dead people. And I don't want to read it because I can go read the dead people's work.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's inevitable. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's hard to predict it, to be honest with you, because I'm not sure. I saw a company at C2E2 that made straight up, they had their comics written and drawn by AI completely, 100%. And it was basically like booby books. And they walked out of the com with 6 figures. So fans don't care for the most part. I think the consumer doesn't care, because let's be honest, 80% of stuff that's put out creatively isn't good. A good 80%.
That's true. That's true.
Movie, TV, music, comics, you name it, books, everything. So all they care about is it good? Does it resonate with them? So, I know Hollywood's already embracing it. I know Netflix, Paramount, Sony, OpenAI, they all have already started working on their video generators that are going to basically make movies with prompts.
Yeah, Sora is already doing that.
Yeah, and Sora looks great. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, it looks great. But I had an interesting meeting with a studio exec where he was kind of talking about he can't wait for Sora to get up to full speed because he wants to basically not have to worry about us. No actors, no employees, no, all that stuff. And what was interesting as the conversation went on, I went, I am too. And he goes, what do you mean? Why would you want it? I go, because if I can make a movie without you involved.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. So what I think you're going to see is this huge proliferation, almost like you've seen in several other different, mediums and stuff, is you're going to see people like us making our own TV shows, our own movies, without having to worry about the gatekeepers and the millions it takes to make one. So we're going to have massive influx of content, but as always, the good stuff's going to rise to the top, always. And so you're going to see people like us just starting our own TV channels online and going, hey, here's my stuff. The good stuff's going to get more views and more people, and Netflix is going to call you and go, hey, can we stream this? So
and the best thing is,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
The best thing is that you can invest a little bit of money and get extra tools that are not expensive, and then you can mix your art with that and get a good show, actually.
Yep.
In the video format.
Yeah, because the funny part was I was telling the exec, I was like, because usually I wouldn't say this out loud, and I'm not typically arrogant, but I said, I bet you I'm a better writer than you are. Just saying. I've had a little bit more experience, I think, so him entering prompts for a movie and me entering prompts for a movie, I think I got him.
Yeah.
I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet. And well, let me be clear. When I say I'll take that bet, Doug, I'm betting on you, not the studio exec who just wants to take everything for himself, and that is all, and doesn't realize within that he's going to ruin what he has,
Those people aren't used to generating IPs and ideas and creations and in the hard part of making them come to life. Now, I hope, like with comics, I hope it's never a thing. And I don't think I think comics will continue to evolve, but I hope it never changes, and I will never use AI to create a comic. That's a different thing. But like, yeah, if I can create, like, Vlad was saying earlier, like if I can create my own TV show and and I distribute it through TikTok.
Or, you can extend based TV show based on your comic book. So,
right.
You can extend that.
So real quick, to cut back what I said earlier, if you do ever get to the point where you're doing this and you run across that AI that can do Afro Samurai animation, I'm just run it, Dave, or just run it, Doug, or just run it all, Doug, every bit of it, right? Because if you didn't suddenly blow up, I'd be like, these people don't know what good entertainment is, and that's all this is anymore.
But here's the interesting thing about the AI when we're talking about it, that fragmentation that is happening. So now, for example, you see there is a studio that employs several thousand people, and then the executive says, okay, we're going to use AI and cut 5,000 people. So these 5,000 people, especially in America, they have mortgages, they have families, they have everything. So now you have a studio with an AI and you have 5,000 people that know how to do the same thing the studio does. So what's going to happen? Well, they're just going to band together and do the same thing without the exit.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to bootstrap themselves. And then we'll have the empty studios and AI that is going to turn out some sort of a content that's maybe in the beginning is going to be, maybe a little bit higher, better, but, it's going to eventually even out, and then it's going to go down because these people are going to be minority. Well, these people are going to take off, and you'll have empty corporations and people, cities and homestead stuff.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen, the circle's going to go back, and then exits are going to go, okay, we need people after all, and then we're going to hire back under new terms, all the strikes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that transition is going to happen, maybe in a decade or something like that, in several years. So it's back to square one, except with new rules. So that's my way how I see it outside of the,
touch
movie
on
industry,
what Vlad,
art online. So.
To touch on what Vlad just said, then I need to know, Doug, how much would it cost for someone to be like, look, I want you to make this a story, use AI, write the prompt for it?
I mean, that's, obviously it depends on the situation and those kind of things. Like, as far as a movie or TV show, I would have to talk. Like, there's moral questions you have to throw in there. Like, why are you doing it this way? And how, what's the purpose of this? So it becomes one of those moral questions that I'd have to really dig in deep to make sure it was the right situation before I'd even consider it.
I'll tell you what the logical reason would probably be. They would rather pay you to do that as opposed to pay you to write a whole script.
Right.
Probably, yeah.
That would be my main, because when you're talking about executives, what is it besides they're worried about the bottom line? That is what the priority is with all of them. That's why I think the entertainment industry has seen such a weird fluctuation recently in the past 20 years between the way executives view it and then the way that it's changed with the coming of the internet. And but
here's another thing that I forgot to add, but it's also important when it comes to AI. Actually, AI is basically like any other tool. When you get the latest iPad and you get the latest Procreate and all that software and everything, it's amazing. But if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to use the software, and if you don't know how to draw or write or anything, you're still gonna make bad art. So that's the same thing with AI. You can have all the content in the world that can mix up and jam, but if you don't know how to make art, if you don't know what to type in and what to ask and how to compose a scene, whether it's a comic book or a novel or a TV show, you're still going to make bad AI art as well. Like it's not going to turn out good, no matter how many iterations you do, because you don't have the knowledge of storytelling beyond execution. Like you don't have the theoretical knowledge and experience that you gather by doing the art over a course of years. So either way, like people who know how to do stuff, they can use the AI for themselves and good. And why would I go for like a cheap buck if I want to go and like I'll go like, okay, I'll do it for a few mils. If you want my execution, I'll dedicate a year or two, get money, buy my house, and then go back to do my own craft. So there you go. I'll sacrifice a piece or two for that. I'm okay with that.
Well, if you look at the last question,
in essence, that's the thing. And so the fear that AI is going to take something out, it's there, but I don't think it's going to take off in that way.
well, if you check our last quest with Shadia, I really hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. I'm really bad with names. And Doug, yours is just easy. I really appreciate you having an easy name, Doug. Just so you know, it's I know she was at a con and she was having a conversation. Somebody came up to her and was like, oh, these all look really good. I like them. I had to, and starts talking about entering prompts to create AI art. And he's like, oh, I just had to enter a prompt. It took me so much time. It's like, and was comparing himself at the same level as her.
Yeah.
No, okay, just on my side. No, I'm sorry. Like, if all you're doing is entering prompts and you want to compare yourself to somebody that's hand painting something or hand drawing, like, yeah, it's an absurd comparison. So let's say you run across that situation, Doug. Somebody walks to you. Yeah, man, I've been trying to write this story. I just have to keep modifying the prompt to make it because it's not quite taking it where I want to go. So I got to re-enter the prompt. What would be your reaction to that?
If somebody said that to me, I mean, well then, welcome to the life of being a creative. Like, yeah, prompts are hard. Yeah, look, telling a story is hard. I've had 20 different jobs in my life, and this is the hardest job I've ever had, day in and day out. I love it, but it's the hardest job I've ever had, and it takes more effort and focus than anything. And so, yeah, these people that think AI art is going to be like, hey, I want a really cool Shazam, and you're going to get exactly what you want. You're kidding yourself. If you want something great and you want something that you want to see and you want other people to love, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
so you would think
that's
that guy was a writer?
Yeah.
I was just wondering if that guy was like, I'm a writer too. Like I want to see that happen and just see your face, Doug, when you're just like,
yeah.
motherfucker.
I'm not really sure executives in the high positions are actually thought this through, how it can backfire to them, and that what we talked about now.
Well, you know what? You know what the real problem with all this AI creative is? I'll tell you what it is. None of them have the nerve to listen to disco while they write about cannibalistic furries, right? And that's just a fact, right? None of them would listen to disco while they wrote about cannibalistic furries. It just wouldn't happen, and that's what Doug did. Now, I'm curious, Doug, because we didn't ask this. What'd you listen to while you was writing the new plastic?
For the new one?
Yeah.
I had a whole playlist, and what I really looked for was like, and I don't even know what to call it now, but like it's a mix of blues and country and a little bit of rock and roll.
Reggae?
So,
or no,
not reggae.
No, sorry. No, my brain,
country rock.
It's not even that. I mean, it's a lot darker.
Like
dark country. There is a subgenre called dark
bluegrass.
Country.
Let me pull up the playlist.
Bluegrass?
And I'll tell you.
Dave Matthews Band.
No.
It makes me think of oh dude, I can't the fact that I cannot remember the name of this song is kind of driving me crazy right now. But I know you've seen the original Blues Brothers movie where they go and they perform at that very redneck type concert.
At the jail or Rawhide or
Rawhide.
Rawhide, yeah, Rawhide. Yeah.
That's what you brought to my mind with what you said.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking, I'm not, I hear you, but like Brothers Osborne and Zach Himsey and Fever Ray, and there's Kari Kimmel. Like there's this like dark country rock stuff that's going on right now that nobody's really like listening to a whole lot. And I picked it up from, believe it or not, watching SEAL Team and Sandman. They both had a similar song. And I was like, wait a minute, there's this whole movement that I haven't really tapped into. And so when I picked it, I was like, oh, this is dark, kind of like foreboding. And it's got like this like, just like dark vibe to it. And so I picked up a bunch of songs that I just, started looking at suggestions in Apple Music until it told me.
Ooh.
Just
Dark
can I make a
backwoods of the
personal
Midwest.
Can I make a personal request? Could you send me a couple tracks you think I should check out?
Oh yeah. I'd be more than happy to.
I'm very intrigued now. I'm very, very intrigued.
Yeah, send that to a group. Yeah, or send on a chat so we can check it out now.
Yeah, that's not. Don't send it in the chat right now, Doug. I'll get it to you, Vlad. Because if you send it in the chat,
Okay.
it makes my head. Don't stop trying to make my job harder, Vlad.
Well, how was I supposed to know that if I click on the chat, that's gonna make your life harder? Like,
Because I've told you that before.
where's the user manual, man? Like, where's the point
What
80-5?
Wait. What quest do you know that comes with a user manual? That's like saying doing art comes with a user manual, or writing comes with a user manual.
Wasn't Dungeons and Dragons like invented the user manual for questing?
Look, Hannibal's already throwing a dragon at us right off the bat when we played D&D. Like, it's the first thing he did. It was really, really rude. Right.
All right. Well, like
5 minutes in, here's the
Chad
dragon.
button is a 2d8 dice, and if you click it, unknown factor loses 5 on charisma and 3 on health. So.
Vlad's writing manual as we go. I like it.
I mean,
well,
it's
I do have
technically
background
what I've
IT
been
and all
doing.
that stuff, so.
This whole quest I've been making up the manual as I go, Doug. Like, haven't you noticed? You've been on. I mean,
So here is a question about plastic and potential like a spin-off or something. Like you said, like you're a fan of manga and you like American comics to be as popular as manga. So how about making plastic a manga? Plastic manga.
I would have no problems with that. Like especially if it broadens the reach, especially. If it could become as popular as some of the manga stuff, worldwide is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Worldwide. Those numbers would be insane. But yeah, I mean, it's, I would love to figure out a way to tap into that. But I don't know, from the American side of the equation, it seems like that's a harder entry than to do it vice versa.
I don't know about the Japanese market, but I do know that mangas are slightly longer. I read a few really nice mangas recently. They're like 250 pages long, and like it's a one graphic novel, and it's a nice, smooth. I think I have one here somewhere, but it's a nice, smooth read, and it's a perfect size for a contemporary story. So,
But
12 issues actually works perfectly. And the visuals are interesting as well. Like they haven't been too hyper realistic, as they know how to go in that way. But I think like Scott Pilgrim, visual paired with like 240 pages would be actually interesting. And you do the story for the story, not to cater to Hollywood. Like you don't do that, but like you write it. Like before that, so I think that had audience in US as well. It would go as an American manga actually, which Scott Pilgrim is. If we look at it.
I still say my favorite manga is the Deadpool one because he gets real meta, and there's a splash page at one point, and he's like, "I'd hate to be the artist that had to draw this." It's hilarious. But Doug, you said something interesting a minute ago, which I find very intriguing. The fact that you find it harder to break into the manga market in America than for them to come and break into the American market. And I look, and I know for a fact, I like the amount of people we've had from all over on this show and people that I would love to bring on, but I can't. They're like, I got Vlad up at 3 a.m. I can't do that because my boy will have me up 3 hours later and I will be like dead.
Yeah.
You know?
So here's another question. Like, there is a manga market in America where there are manga being produced in America, not just imported and published.
See, I'm not familiar with that.
Well, that's what I thought that you said.
No. I was curious. What my question was is why do you think that is? Why do you think it is easier for people to break into the American market from outside of this country, but for people in the American market to try and break into like the manga market? Why do you think it's more difficult? Do you think it's just more of a closed network over there?
I don't know if it's necessarily a closed network. We just work so differently. You know, they're definitely more like an assembly line. And, you know, and then when they, you know, we've got one person that's creating the whole universe and that's all they do, you know, and they've got an assembly line of people working it through. And I mean, you know, this is all just guessing, but yeah, I think it's closed network because of that more so than like, you know, I would have to pitch it to somebody over there and then they're going to be like, okay, well, here's an American. And like, do we want to waste our time knowing that we have all these popular manga writers and creators over here versus this guy, you know, like I think they approach it a lot differently than we do here. And, you know, and I would bet if you talked to some of the manga creators, they'd be like, yeah, I have no idea how it would penetrate the American market as well. Because it's so different. It's a different approach from day one.
It is, yeah. Culture and business side and infrastructure, everything.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't approach it like, hey, I'm going to write 6 issues of Captain America. They go, I'm going to write 10 years of Captain America. You know, like,
oh yeah, and they're like, I'll have like 10 assistants behind to do, you know, everything.
I think that's the benefit of it as far as like the way that I've heard of and have had discussions about how manga run. They are very, very different. They seem in a part to, I wouldn't even say.
You don't have a life when you work in manga. You don't have a life when you work in art there. Like, forget about anything. Like, there's that and there's like 3 hours of sleep, lots of coffee and cigarettes and a whole lot of, you know.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we too.
That sounds terrible. Are you sure you want to break into the manga or the manga market there, Doug?
I mean, you know, it would be nice. Like I said, my statement was I'd like it to be as popular. I didn't say I necessarily wanted to work the hours.
Yeah, well, in order to be popular, it has to look like that. I actually have a example of this was you know, I think a French artist did it. It's like maybe one of the first European mangas, and they looked really nice, very simple, you know, but really effective. It reminded me. It reminded me of Scott Pilgrim. You know, it had that popularity. And it's fairly flat. I mean, like it's a highway of the sun. That's the name of or a sunny highway. I don't know if it was ever.
You make me wonder, Vlad. Like, Doug, have you ever heard about a manga that was produced entirely in America?
No, this wasn't produced in America. This was produced in
I know
France.
that. I know that was European. I get that, and like I said, so it's interesting to see that there's a manga coming out of Europe. But I can't think of a manga that ever came completely out of the U.S. Like I said, I know I referenced that Deadpool manga a while ago, but that actually ran in Shogun Jump. You know what I mean? On on a monthly basis before they actually collected it, and that's when I got it because they had it at Walmart, and I was like,
but okay, we
so.
have to make a distinction now that on that what you said, like produced manga in the United States, produced manga as like a fully manga scope, project, or produced manga as in terms like American writer and American team and manga artist.
Now you just made my question harder. I don't know. Answer whatever, Doug.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a distinction. It's an important one.
I don't think there's anything been attempted like that yet. I think maybe the closest is, what is it, Lore Olympus, which is webtoons, but I'm not sure where they're based out of.
I think Webtoons has some headquarters in US, but their prime audience is in Asia.
Yeah.
But they're like a $2 billion company.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. The views they get on that stuff. But I know Lore Olympus came out here as, like a huge like graphic novel, like what you showed, Vlad, like 200 plus pages. Yeah. I think that's maybe the closest I've seen. Again, I'm not sure. I think the creators are from the US, but I'm not positive. But that's years of them doing it as a webtoons too. It's not like they, produced it in a year, like they cranked that stuff out in Japan.
Well, yeah. Let's flip to something else, which is a discussion we had with Ron Mars, and I'm curious of your opinion, Doug. Which is, if you look at all of these industries, I mean, I think manga is probably one that runs the same. They pretty much just release it in Shogun, and then it gets dropped as the book, and that's the book. But if you look at the comic book industry, it seems that it works backwards for most other industries, especially if you compare it to like the book industry, because when books are released, you get the hardcover, then you get the soft cover, then you know what I mean? In comics, it's exactly the opposite. You get the floppy, and then you get the graphic, and then you get the hardcover. Why do you think that's balanced like that? And I understand, I think it's a thing that it started that way because comics were different. Mm-hmm. Do you think it would be a beneficial? Let me find the right word, my brain. Do you think it would be beneficial for the industry to perhaps switch that and go to where they were selling the biggest and collected edition first? Now, I know that would change things, and I would never expect Marvel and DC to do that because they obviously have to have their monthly releases. Because I don't like, imagine just here's an X-Men graphic novel every 6 months. Here's a Spider-Man graphic novel every 6 months. That'd be kind of weird. Right. Like, how would you do the big tie-in events? Okay, here's the big event, and now you have to buy 10 graphic novels this month to go. Oh God, that's a headache. I never thought of that part. Made my own head hurt. Right? Jeez. So why do you think there's any part of that would be beneficial to flip that? Like, say when you did what you're doing with Plastic Man, why not write it all and just drop the hardcover right off the bat? Do you think that would have been helpful, or do you think it was necessary to put it out in floppy first?
I mean, honestly, I don't think you. And I'm saying this, this is total opinion. I have no facts to back this up. I don't think you can go from hardcover to soft cover to floppies. I do think you can go hardcover to trade, but I don't think the floppies, like individual issues from a hardcover will ever, I don't think reverse engineering it that way will ever work. I could be wrong, but I don't see why you couldn't start off with a graphic novel and just go, I mean, you see the European market and everything I've seen, they start with a hardcover and maybe do a soft cover, but it's almost always, really nice editions first and then do a soft cover edition. But at that point, why do the floppies? What benefit does it give? Seeing Marvel and DC do this, where you have a continuous ongoing storyline and try to do it that way. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if that ever works, but I do think, look, the way that, again, going back to manga, the way that manga does it, the way the European market does it differently than we do, both of those I do think have beneficial aspects to it, to the American market that we haven't explored yet.
What from that do you think would be the best? Because like I said, I mean, it obviously won't work for Marvel, like, or DC. I can only imagine, like, because they're doing Blood Hunt right now. And
Right.
so imagine that would mean like there's like every like once a year or twice a year they do these big events, and if you want to follow that big event, you have to buy every graphic novel they release that month. Look, I'm reading Blood Hunt. I'm reading Blood Hunters because it's got Eric and everything in it. But like short of that, I'm not reading all those tie-ins. You know,
Right.
I can only imagine them all coming out at once. I'd feel kind of assaulted, right? like blatantly by books. But if you look at it like with a lot of image releases or a lot of what Mad Cave's doing, I mean, there's so many different publishers. Like pretty much anybody besides the big two to a certain degree. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like that's something they could use.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look how Hellboy got started. You know, initially it was 1 4-issue miniseries every year. He didn't get crazy and do it. You know, it didn't build up to where it is now. You know, obviously it's different now, but that became an event every year. You're like, oh wow, here comes Mignola's next Hellboy. Like everybody was excited about it. Why does it have to be floppies? Why can't that start with a hardcover? I mean, because if Mike's going to do one, it's going to look amazing, right? So you're like, here's all 4 issues in a hardcover, and this is how we're going to release it first. And let's say it's $75 to $100, and Mike's done everything, including the cover. I would buy that. And at that point, like, I don't need the floppies anymore. So that's, that would be the downside to it. But again, like, the hardcover and even a nice soft cover, an oversized soft cover, then you're drawing me in. It's got to be.
If something like that would happen, that's the end of the direct market.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the collector's market, partially because there's no variant covers. There is no, like, you're disrupting the whole ecosystem that was, put in place, and the consumer behavior and everything. And it would be able to happen, but it would be highly disruptive. That would be actually more disruptive than AI.
Yeah, I agree.
And then there's another thing that is extremely important, and that is the question of economics and how would you actually. That's the thing. In US, it's doable when you have like a bigger publisher and you have a bigger amount of money to spend. But for a small publisher and to do straight to graphic novel with a bigger team or bigger project, that's much more money. So you would have to put a lot more money in front in order to have a lot of more products that you can actually then cash out and do the backflip outside of floppies, because floppies do cover some sort of a production, so at least they get you to the ground zero. From my standpoint and perspective, so it would be difficult, and the audience is actually used to getting a monthly fix and everything, and it's just different, just completely different system here in US than, for example, in France, which is basically they have like 80 years of buying the comic books once or twice per year. Blueberry by Mobius was done once a year, or once every 2 years, as you buy 50 pages of highly drawn comic book. But that was like 50 years ago when the world was completely different. Like you had like 10 TV channels and 15 radio stations and like 5 newsstands, and that was it. Like you were good. Like,
But
in today's world where attention span is like 3 seconds, I'm not sure that's gonna budge.
I mean, you do make a valid point. Let's cut to something that you had on the questionnaire, Doug, and get right into this. Which, like, let's say, because you were told the plastic would end your career, which I still think is hilarious. By the way, I think it's I think it's great that you as a creator took that and went, okay, but I still think it's really good, and did it anyways. It drives me crazy to think about how many times just in human society something like that has been said to somebody, and Lord knows what we lost because they took it to heart.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it was a story, a piece of art, maybe some crazy piece of technology that would put us in a way better position than we are as a species. I mean, think about it sincerely. Because it could sometimes all it takes is negative words into somebody's ear, and they're done. So I think it's great that you didn't do that. Well, but do you think, say, with plastic, you would have just tried to just drop it all at once when you initially dropped it? Do you think that would have worked as well? Or do you think the floppies really are what made it to where people were anticipating the next one because they'd seen what you'd done prior? Because that's the thing. When you're doing a standalone story like you did with plastic or vinyl or a number of other things, man, if you're releasing it in a graphic novel, you lose that anticipation of the next part of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, 2017 is when plastic came out, so that was a little bit of a different universe than it is today. I know it doesn't sound like, it's that far away, but a lot of things have changed over the past 7 years.
COVID.
And so back then, probably not. Today, yeah. I mean, look at what Kickstarters are doing now with hardcovers. Berserker. I mean, I know it's, Keanu Reeves involved in that, but they sold the trades before the floppies ever came out. $1.2 million. Clover Press is killing it with their Art of Marvel, books. And so, they're averaging like $250,000 per Kickstarter. I can tell you right now, I didn't make $250,000 off of plastic. So you start, I think now you could, then you couldn't. You are correct.
Do you think COVID is a thing that had an effect on making that to where it's possible now as opposed to then?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think people got more savvy with what they wanted to spend their money on, and were looking for more entertainment because they were, all of us were stuck at home, and you were just looking for stuff because you couldn't go to the store anymore, right? So you're like, hey, let me look for something. Oh, here's something unique. Let me try it. And so I think people became more comfortable with that. Like, I don't have to spend $4 on just one issue to see if I like it. They're like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. And so I think people are more willing to take a chance on something that looks good, than they were before.
That's the first time I've ever heard somebody say something positive that came from COVID. I just want to point that out.
And technology, man, and technology. They had to polish the technology to make it possible.
Yeah. I mean, dude, does the Quest, does it run this well if it's not for the pandemic? Does the, what we're doing right now, is this as feasible if they wouldn't have had to figure out how to make all of Zoom calling and Skype calling and Google Meet and all that stuff work almost overnight, right? Like they had to figure that out quick, because otherwise the whole world was going to shut down, like business wise.
Skype's been working fine for a while though, man. Like I said, I don't know why there are people that come on, I can't believe you still use Skype. Look, at least when Howard came on, he's like, man, props for still using Skype. It's been around forever and it still works. There's no reason to switch. And I was like, that's what's up, Howard. That's what I'm saying. Plus, it's free.
But Doug is right on that one. Doug is right on that one. Like before 2020, how many podcasts and comic books you actually knew were existing? And not only that, like which publisher actually showed the face of a creator? Maybe Image at like 12 years ago when they had Image creators, like three months of promotional creators, and that's it. Like nobody knew how anybody else looks unless you have a profile, some shady profile on Facebook. So I think this actually helped the comics culture in a way, especially in transglobal society where as we are, like we can connect now and talk outside of convention. Like I don't have to fly on every convention. I can do major ones and connect with people online because these things cost.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel and I still we get on Zoom at least once a month. And that's the way we talk. Like otherwise we wouldn't be able to. Like just for some reason, long distance. Me calling him in Spain still costs more money. I don't understand it. But I can get on here and talk to him all day for free. No. Okay.
I was thinking you could make that call on your cell without it, but no, if it's just that's yeah,
It's expensive.
it
A
is a
lot.
weird. Yeah, Vlad, I couldn't imagine having to pay. If I had to pay for all the time that I spoke with you, you wouldn't be on the show, Vlad. I love you, but
You
no.
wouldn't have a show, man.
Well, I probably wouldn't, based on the fact that we started like it really started in Canada, and that's like for some reason we had a lot of Canadians, and we've had a lot.
It's about a 1 minute. 1 minute is about $10 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't be on the show
or more. Once it was like 36.
Okay, so I'm glad. I guess
how much it was like 5 years ago.
Well, I guess it's odd too. I just don't think about that, like I said, because I used to run an all-night radio, and I mean that was years ago. It was pre-COVID, and I mean we had Mal Hawkins on the comic book show that we ran on that radio, so that's previous to that. So I guess I have a different view of that based on that, but that's based on the fact that I just kind of. It's based on the fact that I got brought onto a radio and then the dude kicked me off and I had a bunch of interviews scheduled. And I was like, well, I can either start my own radio right now or tell all these people I'm canceling it. I'm persistent. So I started a radio. And then in the long run, it turned into a quest. And that's just what happened. But yeah, so I guess I don't view COVID affecting things that way. But it is nice, in all honesty, to hear like something positive COVID did, because I think that's a first. I don't think I've ever heard a positive side of COVID in my life, Doug.
The world told itself, like, okay, it was a positive thing, yeah.
Well, but the fact that it's from Doug, I think, is even funnier. You know, the man that loves to write people getting stabbed with sporks.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's okay. I mean, look at Dexter; it was a hugely popular show. So
that's a cute
there's
one.
the kitty.
Look at my kitty. Yeah. I got a new cat, Doug. Now you go away.
Okay. So here's a question. You know, what's wrong with Count Dooku? Why is he less favorite fictional character?
And see, here's where I'm torn, because I love Christopher Lee. That I think that was the worst Sith creation of all time. He can barely, by the time Christopher Lee's in this, he can barely walk, he can barely move, and I'm supposed to believe that he's able to sword fight or lightsaber fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like, guys, like, you know, you had Darth Maul, who is, you know, maybe one of the best martial artists in the world, and then you move to Christopher Lee, again, who I love, but it's just like, I do not like Count Dooku. It's just one of those characters. I'm like, I love Christopher Lee, but I'd have rather him been Palpatine than Count Dooku.
No, he was doing force intimidation by presence.
Yeah, that's
basically theatrics.
The
extended universe, he's not so bad.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. They did. They went from Ray Park to Chris, and that's because you have a dude that's literally jumping around, doing backflips, spinning crazy, and then you had to go to that. Man, you just made me look at Count Dooku with so much more disrespect.
I mean, every fight he was in, basically, he was just holding it out doing this, right? There was not a whole lot of movement or any of that kind of stuff. And so imagine, substitute Darth Maul for Count Dooku in the Yoda lightsaber duel. Like, what does that look like, right? Like, that's insane. But you know,
but they had like General Grievous in episode 2, so maybe they kind of like it would be too much.
I agree. Yeah, that might have been too. Yeah.
But now I just want to see a Yoda Darth Maul fight.
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that would be insane, right?
Well, you know where to go to get that.
We're gonna go type the prompt.
Yep.
Well, you know.
But yeah, I've always. I mean, you made me pick something, and I had to think of something. And I was like, yeah, I've never liked Count Dooku. Like, again, love Christopher Lee, but that character just didn't feel right in those movies to me.
And what in your opinion was not so good in X-Men: Days of the Future Past?
Oh, the movie?
Yeah.
It just
The
wasn't
movie.
as good as the comic. I think that was he was like, what didn't do, the question was like, what comic book movie didn't do justice to the comic? And I felt like the comic was so much better, even though it was only 2 issues, but the original one, it was still so much better and so much more well thought out, I think, than what they ended up with in the movie. Because then it just, as you know, it just became a Wolverine movie. And, I mean, I love Wolverine, but it didn't hold the same weight, I think, as the comic did.
Yeah, but I still don't see how no one's answered what I answered on the questionnaire for that question, which is the mask. Because the mask, the movie, doesn't hold up to the comic, because the comic is something I would expect you to write, Doug.
I think in fairness to everybody, I think a lot of us forget about the Mask movie. So we block it out.
But I think everybody on this show so far and here can agree that Avengers Endgame was like the end game.
Oh, so you were at San Diego Comic-Con, Doug? Did you, I mean, I assume there was a stupid buzz when the actor for Doom got announced.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It was, that's amazing. Like, I don't know how they're going to make that work, but the fact that the Russos are coming back to handle it, I have complete faith that they'll make it work and it'll be beautiful. Because, like, when they were talking about doing Infinity War, I was like, I mean, if you've read the comic, you're like, guys, you can't shoot that. Like, it's not possible. And then what they came up with and the way they kind of worked their way around that and made it even, in my opinion, better than what we saw in the comic, even though the comic was awesome. What they did with the movie stuff was just amazing. Like the Captain America stuff that they did in Infinity War and Endgame is like next level. So I trust those guys. And of course, if Robert Downey Jr. is involved, like that guy just can't seem to do any wrong, in my opinion, lately. Like every movie he's in, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen the theory. The main theory is the fact that, I mean, with Doom, all he's got to do is tweak his voice a little, technically, and Doom don't show his face.
Yeah.
No.
There's so many ways you can go with it, and it's I'm in. You bring the Russos and you got Robert Downey Jr. Whatever it is, I'm going to see it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. And I mean, Doom is kind of like the guy is a bit of a cringe and eclectic personality on its own way. So that kind of switch, it's basically in our head. That's where we need to make the switch. To switch from Robert Downey Jr. to from Tony to Doom. So I think that'll work.
If anybody can do it, it's those three.
Yeah.
My cat is being really, really annoying, y'all. Sorry,
Although when they announced him, like when he did the act and everything with the mask, I don't know, it kind of felt like the vibe was kind of like weird when we saw him for the first time. Like he was serious and the face and like.
I think the thing that I assume you've seen that clip, Doug, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, he pulls the mask off, the crowd erupts, and you see him kind of turn and wink like I told you so.
Yeah.
Like it was him like don't tell me I couldn't be Doom, man. I told you they'd love it.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a little
he orchestrated, yeah. Maybe he orchestrated.
He specifically, I don't know the truth to this, but I heard he's the reason the Russo brothers came back. He was like, I'll only do it if the Russo brothers direct these 2 films. I
mean, I don't blame him for saying that. Yeah. I mean, it's, what they did with those 2 last movies that they touched, man, that Endgame, that's some beautiful storytelling. Like,
it is. It's deeply satisfying.
Yep. That final fight scene, man, that's the stuff with Captain America and the broken shield and everybody showing up. Like, that still brings tears to my eyes when I see it. Like, it's just an amazing piece of work.
Have you seen the new Deadpool?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
No spoilers. We won't have
Comic-Con
that
all weekend.
conversation. Huh?
What's the Comic-Con all weekend?
I don't know, man. Maybe they had a showing there you caught somewhere.
Well,
I mean,
I just have one word. I just have one word for the new Deadpool movie. Like, can I say it? Kabilberine.
I can't. You said that.
That is so right.
I just don't want to spoil nothing for Doug. I just don't want to spoil nothing for Doug. But he said something where I wanted to say something, but I can't. I don't give spoilers.
It's on every social media. So it's like.
Oh, that's why I went and seen that Friday. I wasn't getting it spoiled. Are you serious? Right? So I'm curious, man. Being at San Diego Comic-Con, right, this year, do you have any crazy experiences? You got any personal stories? Anything nutty that happened? Something that like you seen at the con and it made you go, ooh.
I mean, dude, honestly, like when you're behind the table all day, and Comic-Con is like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's every day. And so like you don't see a whole lot. Like you're just in the mode of working. So I can't, I wasn't walking around or anything. I'm just sitting there talking to people coming up, maybe wanting to buy my comic, maybe not. So unfortunately, I didn't see a whole lot.
I mean, that's
how far away, bro, was Artist Alley from the main show compared to, for example, New York Comic-Con?
Yeah, it's all one building. So it's just this massive, almost mile-long convention center. And yeah, it's the interior is 3/4 of a mile long if you're walking from one end to the other. The Artist Alley is just on one side of it. So as you can imagine, like it's just massive con going all on. Everything's in one place. So it feels like it's one continuous piece.
A mile long?
Almost, yeah. It's 3/4 of a mile long if you walk it on the inside.
Damn. Kind of like blocks.
Yeah. It's massive.
That's
How do you cover that? I mean, how do you cover that when you go to as a audience? How do you cover that in 4 days?
Well, that's why it's 4.5 days, because it takes you at least 2 just to walk and see everything in the convention center.
You really think you can cover all of the convention in 2 days?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, as far as seeing everything on the showroom floor, yeah.
As long as you didn't go in for any like presentations or anything, yeah, I suppose that's possible. But
yeah, if you're starting to hit panels or you want to get in that crazy line for Hall H, no, that's out. But just like walking the floor and trying to see every booth, yeah, it'd take you a good day or two,
So no fun stories then. Nobody got stabbed, right, this year?
No, nobody got stabbed. I'm trying to think.
I don't.
Wait, somebody got stabbed at San Diego?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, a guy got stabbed by somebody with a pencil because he wouldn't give up his seat for Hall H.
Oh, okay. Well,
so, hey.
That's okay. I thought like it was a random stab. I mean.
Oh no!
Wait! I'm pretty sure stabbing somebody because they won't give up the seat to you is a random stabbing, Vlad. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's from Serbia. Like stabbing somebody with a pencil is almost insulting.
A little bit. If somebody stabbed me with a pencil, I'd be like,
East Europe just has different flavors on some things.
I don't know, man. I'd hate to say if somebody stabbed me with a pencil, I'd have to pull out the Crocodile Dundee line. That's not a knife.
I was just kidding.
Kids
don't try that at home.
You would have to have a bigger pencil, not a bigger knife. That's not how that works.
No, because I'm telling him that's not a knife. This is a knife. That's what you use if you want to stab somebody, you fool. It works. It's on a different level.
Well, you don't bring a knife at a convention center. Goddamn.
Yeah. I always carry a knife, Vlad. Sometimes you have to cut a box open.
But I'll tell you this. Sporks are allowed in the convention center.
All I know is, Doug, why did you don't have a plastic doll at your booth, do you? Just sitting with you.
Oh, no. I've had that at some of the signings, but parents kind of look down on it for some reason. They don't like having blow-up dolls sitting next to you. Yeah.
So where's Lucinda?
Yeah, we're as Vlad pointed out earlier, we're in America. I could get away with that in Europe, but in America, that's going to go badly for me. I might as well be in a porn movie.
But you know what the screwed up thing is? You could have a display. You could have like a chair, like a throne, like Game of Thrones style, made out of bloody sporks, right? And
I
no
agree.
one would bat an eye. They just think it was
Nope.
really cool and probably want to sit in it.
Yep.
Well, how about New York? I mean, they're pretty much liberal and like open.
Dude, it's sex in America. Like,
I know.
yeah, it was funny because I was in Spain I went to Daniel got married and I went to Spain. And so I went over to the Prado and like there were elementary school kids. My wife and I were walking around and there were elementary school kids in class studying a nude on the wall. And I was like, they're taking pictures because it's art and they know it's art. And they're all taking notes, and talking about it and stuff. Well, if that happened in America, somebody's going to prison. They're like, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, well,
Fair.
culture shock. Okay, let's keep it PG.
Look,
yeah.
we're getting a little. You're gonna get somebody at my door talking about you're talking about graphic content too much on that show you run over there. Boy, what you think you're doing? I'm like, are you with the FBI? Yeah. Is this about Erica?
I mean,
Erica's
are
got
you the
two
police?
passwords.
If you ask somebody if they're police, like who would say yes? Why would they say yes?
Well, I mean, I think if they were at my door busting on it about the show, that they would hopefully identify themselves as the FBI because this is America, and I believe in protecting oneself. And we'll just leave it at that. And my cat.
Wait, which agency is not
CIA.
allowed to? Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, CIA's for international things. I mean, technically, you're supposed to have a warrant before you kick in any door, though. You know what I mean? But that's like people listening to the rules, and I think that they got some Edwin mentality within that. We'll say.
He's not going to kick in your door. He's just going to chop your head off. That's different.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying he don't follow the rules either. He just. He at least completely applies himself towards douchebags. That's all I'm saying. Dude, I love where you showed where the bags came from, by the way.
Right.
And the origin of him putting that, like, that was such a nice detail to see where, because I was always like, why is he, like, cutting these people's heads off and throwing them in a bag and labeling them like this? This is very odd behavior. So to actually see where that behavior originated within this, man, that was a really cool moment. I think you've included, Doug. I'm curious. You've got, we're up to issue 2 currently. I think issue 3 should be dropping in a week or just dropped if I time everything right on my side of things. I'll be real honest. Your 5-issue arc, right?
Yep, 5-issue arc.
Okay. You got anything else like that will unveil or reveal something really deep from the previous, the before plastic, but the one you put out previously? Or no, the after plastic that you put out before.
That's the way it planned, is like that, especially with Little Edwin, that storyline is like this slow buildup of like getting him honestly to his first kill. And what does that look like? And so, hopefully along that way you get like nice little tidbits of like why and when and where all this started.
Okay. So
and then on arc 3, he can go eco-friendly and do the organic plastic bags.
I like it.
All I want, really, Doug, I won't lie. The thing that I would really love to see you do next is I'd love to see you do some Lobo. I'm going to keep cutting back to that, right? But me and Scotty both agree that I really, if you're going to do prequels, I need a vinyl one.
Okay. Yeah.
I need a vinyl prequel because there's so much there with so much mystery behind it. And I feel like they're like the stories you could tell in a prequel from that book. I feel like you could write a prequel for pretty much every character from that book on its own. See, and I'm telling you, look, Scotty agrees. He's
From
running
Scotty.
up like, do it, Doug. Yeah, he's Scotty. Yeah, my boy named him Scotty. I was like, cool. I like Scotty Young. But yeah, I'm curious. Have you had any thoughts about that as far as going back to any of the other properties that you've done and digging into them either forward or backward?
There's rumors of such.
Let's
So-
confirm some rumors, Doug.
No. I'll confirm there are rumors.
Fair enough. That's okay.
I was about to say your favorite curse word, but we're trying to keep it PG over here.
That's right.
Yeah, let's go on the Godzilla then.
All right. But hey, right, it's been a pleasure, Doug. And I actually want to ask you a question right after we wrap, because I want to see if you want to join in a particular discussion that a lot of people have been kind of timid about, that I've got a couple people coming up on, but we'll get into that right after we wrap this show. But for everyone out there, what I want you all to do, right, is check all the links in the description. Scotty says so. You see him? He says, check the links. Look, check the links. Check them. He's going to paw at you, right? Check the links, right? There's all kinds of stuff. You can find out about everything that Doug's doing, right? But I want to also let you know, if you've enjoyed this particular quest with one Doug Wagner, what I want you to do, Basilisk. That's a basilisk, right?
Yeah.
All right. I was like, I'm bad with names, all right? Sometimes I worry about my pronunciation. Like it's the autism mixed with a bit of dyslexia and a bit of insanity. What can you say, right? So Cinema Basilisk, right, with some old school 24-inch Shogun Warriors.
Ooh.
Right? Some real nice brisket, just a one that's just been cooked just right, just right, and just a bunch of Snickers bars. Make them king size though. Come on, don't be cheap about it. All right. Now, if for some reason you haven't enjoyed this quest, again, I want to ask, why are you at the end? Right? Why are you still watching this? But whatever. You decided to. Maybe you just wanted to find out how to annoy Doug, right? If you did, here's your chance, right? What you do is you send him some giants, right? Because, oh my God, Doug, you're right. That's bloody well terrifying, because it is just like, and I say this is a dude that's over 6 foot tall, but like, you send a giant, they can just go, yeah, it's. Yeah, we can ask Alan Henry about it. Thankfully, he was the big friendly giant. He wasn't a mean one. It was the rest of the one in the film that were, right? And it's Alan we've got over here on the quest playing some D&D, right? But again, send him a giant, right? To take and just tie him down and just poke at his head. Just poke at his head. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you. In a room with a TV that is a giant-sized TV, so it's huge, playing X-Men, Days of Future Past. Well, this giant just sits there and pokes him in the head, eating raw fish. I'm gonna eat you next. I'm gonna eat you next. While Days of Future Past just plays endlessly. Yeah, that I don't think Doug would enjoy it. But I hope you've enjoyed Wagner as well as all of his work, man. Check it out. Plastic has been it's oh man, dude, you're killing it. And I really hope the rumor is about a vinyl prequel, because I need that in my life as a musician that is an avid comic book fan and runs this quest, Doug. I need that in my life. I really do. But besides that, I just want you all out there to do 3 things, right? 1, give it that thumbs up, man, right? Or whatever the equivalent is, depending on platform you're on, or a lot of places. 2, always get your comic on. 3, have a good night, y'all.
Cavilverine.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.